well, very excited for this podcast. This place is beautiful.
Thank you.
Christina, thank you for setting this up. You were the conduit.
Yes.
So why did you choose this place as a place you wanted to get on the show?
Well, besides the talent here, I think it's such a hidden gem feeling for Phoenix, and I can't imagine anybody coming here and being disappointed. As I was telling you, you walk up the stairs and it just opens into this kind of lush oasis. It's dark, it's cozy, it's upscale. You can come on a date. You can have drinks, on your anniversary before or after dinner. You can meet friends. You can show up after work. I think it's perfect.
She hit them all.
I
think so. Yes. I think so. Yeah. I mean, we also really tried to make it such a neighborhood feel too, that it can just be like a night out with friends who didn't really have an agenda, that just want a cozy, comfy, good place to listen to amazing music and either have a nice cocktail or sip on a beer and a nice little pour of something as well. Yeah. Like the Amaro that we have in front of us too.
Ooh, well, speaking of, so what is, well, first let's meet you guys. Introduce yourself first, and what is your role here at Highball?
So my name's Mitch Lyons, and I am one of the bar managers, as well as we're minority owners as of very recently too.
Nice. Yeah. Okay. Excellent.
Very nice step.
And I'm Libby Lingua, and Mitch's counterpart. We have worked together for about 6-7 years now, and to write off what Mitch said, we really wanted to create this space that was, neighborhood friendly, come as you are, kind of like every walk of life. We've got something for everyone to enjoy. Yeah. We've been in the industry. I've been behind the bar for about 14 years now. Mitch, probably about the same.
Yep. Okay. Yep.
We started young, all different facets of hospitality, bar backing, serving, managing. But at the end of the day, we just really enjoy like you guys going out, eating and drinking and having a good time. And so that was something that we really wanted to create with this space. So I think we're doing a decent job at it.
I think so. Well, Christina, I was telling them before that that's what we do. We eat and drink for a living, right?
Yes.
And she said they enjoy that as well.
That's what we love to do. Yeah, pretty much.
So are you guys from Arizona? We'll start, Mitch.
Yeah, I'm from Arizona. I was born and raised here in the East Valley. My mom's from the East Coast. She's from Jersey, and then my dad's from the Bay Area. Okay. And then they met and kind of decided East Coast wasn't for them. West Coast or California is too expensive, so they kind of migrated here about 35 years ago. Okay. Right in there. So I was born and raised out here, and then did quite a bit of traveling, but this is home for sure. Yeah.
Next, and Libby?
I'm from the East Coast originally, about an hour northwest of Philadelphia, but I've been a Phoenician for 10 years now. Okay. This month, actually.
Oh, wow. Congratulations.
Thank you. I survived. Phoenix is really great. Compared to when I moved here in 2012 to now, the city has progressed so much. Yeah. Just culturally, the food and beverage scene here is exploding. Downtown is on fire. Yeah. It's amazing. So.
Well,
really
this little
happy to be here.
Area here too, right? Like you have Little O's right over there, right?
Yep.
And Roses by the Stairs. I'm a beer guy, right?
Nice.
So that's where everything is based upon where the beer's at.
Yeah.
Very cool.
But this is a cool little part of town that is really starting to come up, and these brick buildings and this being on the second floor, there's so much to that. I dig that.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize, Libby, that you moved here in 2012, because I feel like you're such an integral part of the cocktail industry that you've been here longer than, I thought you were here longer than me.
Yeah, no, 10 years. I started at Greyhawk Golf Course and then was at the Parlor Pizzeria.
Right. I think I met you once there, though. I don't think I talked to you that much until the Bee's Knees.
Yep,
that's where we
Bee's
really
Knees.
got to know each other.
Yeah.
What is that?
So the Canby Hotel on 24th Street and Camelback, which was formerly the Ritz-Carlton, when they revamped and rebranded the hotel, I was a part of that opening team and led the craft cocktail bar in the lobby. But it was I think I was there for a little less than a year, and then got swooped up by Undertow and Jason Asher, Barter and Shake.
Swooped up by the Undertow.
So and that's where we had met, and so we had worked together for about almost 5 years there. Yeah. So that's where we really learned the nitty gritty of craft cocktails and and what we do now, basically.
And the Canby is where Mike Winokur and Jeff worked. Remember we had that podcast and they were talking about where they had met?
Yes.
So he's the chef at the Mick. And now, I don't know if you remember Jeff too. He was a waiter at the Canby, and now he's the wine director at the
Nice,
Mick.
that's awesome. Yeah, I love to hear stories like that. You know, starting somewhere small and then building your way up. And I mean, that's what it takes, really. We get a lot of younger bartenders that are trying to hit the ground running, and they want to be like the all-star bartenders right off the bat. But I feel like a lot of people forget that you need to learn all facets of hospitality. You can't just be go from 0 to 100, get behind the bar just like that. So, I mean, that's been our come up. It's taken a long time.
As you can see, even the glassware here is beautiful.
Yeah.
So what are we drinking?
Go ahead.
So this is our house blend Amaro. Amaro has always been our, bartender's handshake, kind of like a camaraderie little toast that we'll have with friends, our colleagues, something that we like to share. It's lower ABV. It's got a little bit of that medicinal characteristic. And so the blend right now that we have is, we've been dealing with out of stocks a lot lately. So supply chain issues.
This blend is a combination of Ramazzotti, which is going to be a little bit more beet orange focused. It also has Rucolino, which is an arugula Amaro to it. It has a little bit of Bigalay Quina, which is going to be more of that bitter orange. And then Angostura Amaro as well.
What was that second one? That one I haven't heard of before.
Rucolino.
Yeah, and you said it's arugula
It's arugula Amaro. Yeah, it's in one of our most popular cocktails, which is called the Devil Nose, which is kind of like a watermelon margarita, but it's kind of based around a watermelon summer salad, because arugula has a natural vermouth that'll give you kind of little blue cheese note in there too, and then watermelon and tequila and jalapeno.
I can feel you thinking in your head, Eric, that you are coming in for a visit to sample.
Absolutely should.
I don't even have to look at you to know that's what you're
Each time
thinking.
I touch this is a different question. I have another question. No, well, because this is all this world is pretty new to me, right? I mean, I've been covering beer since 2016. That's my world, and I know a lot about that. But when you guys were talking about it's your blend of Amaro, I'm like, what's Amaro, right? That was my first question, right? And then as you start describing it, and I just love it. I love learning, and right, when they're talking about it, you're like, oh yeah, and I'm thinking, what the hell was that? I'm notating. So let's start with that. What is Amaro?
So Amaro is an Italian digestive. So in Italy, lunch is typically the biggest meal of the day. So what a lot of people like to start with is something like an aperitivo, which is going to be more of your Aperol or your Campari. And what it does is it really stimulates your appetite. Yeah. So it gets you into a big meal, and it gets you ready to kind of consume a little bit more food and be nice and comfortable with a lot of food.
And that's I've had what's it called?
Underbergs?
Yes.
Yeah,
okay. Yeah.
Yep.
I thought so. When I tasted it, I'm like, okay, that's what it is.
Yep.
Yeah. I've done a couple, their Arizona Wilderness does Camp Cool Ship.
Yeah.
And before they kind of start everything, it's you drink some of those.
Yeah.
And
it's Underberg and Jägermeister were the two original Amaros for I guess the United States.
Okay.
And now there's there's so many different varieties of aperitivo, digestifs, but it's kind of the aperitivo is the pre-meal, and then the digestif will help you kind of move that food, little medicinal characteristic.
Yep.
But
kind of coats your stomach and tells you that you're not as full as you really are, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Makes you feel better.
Gives you a little relief.
Yep.
All right. Well, I think that's just what I needed today. Then, so
there you go.
So how did for you guys? Either of you can start, but when did you realize that this was something special, right? Something to really pursue.
Oh gosh, I mean, I just love the hospitality industry. At first, for me, it was a way for me to be out and about. My friends were, I started in college, and I was 19 when I started bartending, and it was, I could be out and about with friends that were older than I was, and I really was drawn to the adrenaline of serving, and I always wanted to learn how to bartend, and it just became more than a passion. It became a lifestyle. I've met so many friends and across the country. I've had so many great experiences traveling to different bars and different parts of the country.
I even got to judge with you one time. That was really fun.
When. Yeah. That was fun.
It was a tequila competition.
Yeah, it was.
It was all women bartenders and all women judges. So it was the two of us and then Chef Sam from Sanctuary.
Samantha.
Hi, Sam.
Hi, Sam. Yes, that was fun. I do remember that. But yeah, that's kind of, this is just something that I've been meant to do. My background is in fashion and marketing. And so with a merchandising minor. And so I've kind of been able to hone those skills into the more hospitality end of like, you know, creating experiences and designing cocktails and menus. And we have a really great partnership because he's like the spirits guru. And so everything from alcohol content to flavor profiles to texture, all of that.
He's your technician.
Yeah. So like we work really well together because he's more focused on that end, and then I'm more visually, like I know what I want my drink to taste like and how I want it to look, how I want the mouthfeel to be, and then between the two of us, we like come together and reverse engineer or build menus together. So
how often do you change your menus?
Once a year. We're doing it once a year. And when we do our menu flip, we scrap the whole thing, top to bottom. Okay. So it's not like we're just replacing a few.
So are there some people who are like, no, you took that drink off the menu?
Yeah, there's a couple of drinks that have kind of like a little cult following, which is nice. But yeah, they'll come in and like be like, so this is the drink I had on the first menu. What should I have now? And it's always hard. Like we try to have quote unquote like replacements for drinks, but at the same time we just want you to find something new that you love, because there's gonna be something on there, but you got to work your way through it, and find the one that's
have to keep coming until you try all the drinks.
Exactly. And I mean, we have a lot of people that like take our menus home with them and then like kind of jot down what they've had, how they enjoy it, and then like what their favorites are. Which is very cool to see.
Yeah, we've got regulars that come in with like their notes on their phone of like what their favorites were, what they've had, what they haven't had, what they want to revisit. Multiples actually, which is is very cool.
That's
to
a
see.
true fan.
Yeah. I mean, we like I said, we love repeat customers. We love new customers. We love people that are just going out to have a good time. People that are really actually interested in cocktails, but our viewpoint, like we like to approach cocktails in a very approachable manner. I feel like sometimes cocktail bars can be very like uptight and like, at the end of the day, this is the hospitality industry and we're here to like, create an experience, and we want our guests to leave feeling better than when they walked in our door. So if we're able to do that, like that's satisfying for me.
To care enough about their drinks to take notes and give feedback.
Exactly.
And I know I've been to a couple pop-up dinners here where they have a guest chef and a theme, and you do all new cocktail pairings for each of those, right? Because I know I did one with Carreño and Chef Johnny Sanchez from the Mission.
Yes.
And then the most recent was Devin Cunningham, and it was a Caribbean menu.
Was fun.
Yeah.
So how long does it take you to pair those cocktails when you have a theme like that?
It really depends on like the dinner and how unique the chef is getting with intricate ingredients and whatnot. So like, for instance, Devin's dinner was quite easy for us to construct cocktails because it was Caribbean style, and we worked in a tiki bar for 5+ years. So that one was like, all right, I can write these drinks, not even taste them, and know that they're going to be absolutely delicious and balanced. Obviously, we did taste them, and he was nice enough to bring food by beforehand so that we could try it together. But then we've done a dinner with Tika, who owns Claw, and his was a Cambodian dinner. And I personally have not had a whole lot of Cambodian food or Cambodian ingredients. So we were ordering like rambutan, durian, like online on Amazon.
Now I'm
like,
sad I missed that one.
Like these are going to be some really, really funky cocktails and funky food. But the blends worked really well together. Because again, it's just buying new ingredients and then tasting it with her and being like, all right, what flavor profiles do we get from this that we can relate to, and then how are we going to put this into a cocktail?
So how did you use the rambutan? That's like a little fruit that has kind of a spiky skin, would you say?
Yeah, spiky skin.
But it's really soft inside.
Yeah, so we kind of used it like lychee almost, because it kind of had that similar that texture to it. So we really tried to use some stone fruit around it to brighten it, bring the textures out, and then obviously with Cambodia, we wanted to highlight a little bit more of that cognac and Hennessy kind of flavor profiles as well.
And why is that? Like, what is it? Like, what do you
it's their number one spirit. So
cognac.
Yep.
Really?
Cognac.
Okay. Interesting.
I think culturally,
Yep.
that's just
Cognac and
cognac.
whiskeys.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, when we do these dinners, it's, we like to collaborate with other chefs. We are very culinarily driven in our approach to cocktails, and we like utilizing a lot of techniques that are normally used in the kitchen behind the bar. And so we like to pair up with local chefs that are like-minded and interested in kind of like pushing the envelope. It's a challenge for us. I mean, we like to use ingredients that we're not familiar with. Yeah. It's kind of a time for us to flex a little bit and, push ourselves and see how we can, collaborate with these chefs and whatnot. And it's been really fun.
Really test your skills, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a big music fan, and Jack White says that he goes to pawn shops and buys a guitar, and then he'll play it on stage for the first time and
That's
have
cool.
to figure it out as he's going.
Oh, wow.
That's really
Challenge
cool.
himself, So, I mean, I'm not recommending, buy a pawn shop, stuff. But no, I like that because I think it's Brett Weber that always says, trust the chef. Right, he always wants you to just trust in what I do. I like it. If you have allergies, obviously tell me, but otherwise, just trust in what I do. And it sounds like you guys are building that following.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, we absolutely are, and I mean that's a lot of what the dinners are, is because people essentially what they're doing is they're buying a ticket and they see all of the food options, but they don't necessarily see the cocktail pairings with it.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of trust in what we do. And then it allows us to really get creative with it, because again, I want these chefs to create food that most people haven't had. So, for instance, Devin's biggest star-studded dish was a braised oxtail in cow foot. So, not something that a lot of
I think
people
it was like coconut
rice
grits.
grits.
Yeah,
and then
coconut
escovitch
rice grits,
on
and it
top,
was
too.
so delicious because it was
Yeah.
so rich and creamy, and then you had which is like pickled vegetables to kind of cut it.
Yeah,
and
the
then I
little
forget what
pop of
cocktail was that
acidity.
served with. Do
Knew you were
remember?
going to ask me this.
I was going to look at my pictures before I came
Yep.
here, but
Ooh,
whatever
gosh.
it was delicious.
I think
Uh,
that was the one I did. Did a gin and a rum split base, and then I did passion fruit and chlorine. So it really had some funky notes to it, but the heavy acidity, so that kind of cut through some of the grits and the savory notes.
Yeah.
So it paired really well.
How many pop-ups have you done?
At Highball, I think we're up to 7.
Or 8.
7
yeah,
or 8,
something
somewhere,
like that.
yeah.
Somewhere like that.
Yeah, and
There's-
I mean, when we first started doing them, because we opened this bar during the pandemic and nobody was traveling, we really wanted to kind of bring the travel to people. That's why we always picked a country, and we're like, hey, come to this country with us for a day and eat and drink. And that's why we tried to stay as true to the country as we possibly could.
Yeah.
So it's been a lot of fun, and we're kind of keeping that note because so many people really enjoy those dinners, and it is kind of an easy way to escape Phoenix and travel somewhere for the night and have some different food.
And I like it because it's so educational. I'm learning cocktails, and believe it or not, spirits sometimes I haven't had before, but just the thinking process. And the chef, as always, I think, is trying to educate why he picked that dish, or especially like Devin, the story behind it.
Yeah.
And the chefs that do it are obviously extremely talented, but this place has a curveball of its own, and the fact that we don't have a kitchen. So
Yeah,
we
there's
have
no back of house here. We have a closet.
They have to kind of
Seriously.
treat it a little bit more like a catering event, where they're going to bring everything that's already prepped and ready to go, which is also awesome because it allows them more interaction with people. But so what we really try to do is we try to do a couple of dishes more so at room temperature or cold dishes, and then one hot dish. That's always fun to maneuver and figure out how to keep as hot as possible. And then obviously a dessert dish to kind of finish it off.
Yeah. It's a lot of execution and timing and, just reading the room. And we normally do 2 back-to-back seatings. And every single one that we've done is sold out, 36 to 38 guests per seating. And we're shaking cocktails and timing out, coordination with the chef and all of that, making sure things are hitting at the table at the same time. And we don't want drinks to be melting by the time the food gets out. And so like it's a lot to hone in, but I think we've got it down.
Well, speaking from the other side where I'm the customer, I would never notice that you were dealing with all those logistics because it's just smooth. Yeah.
Thank you. Goal, right? Yeah, that is the goal. That is really the goal. But we have fun during them too. And like, we want our guests to have fun. And the last one with Devin, obviously, was like Caribbean, Jamaican themed. And we had the playlist to go with it. And, the second seating was more of a party and people were dancing. And like, it was great. It was really a lot of fun. So it was great.
So where did because you said you opened during the pandemic, right? So where did the idea for the concept, like when did that all begin and how? So
during the pandemic, when we kind of had a break from our previous employer, one of her ex-coworkers and a good friend of hers saw that she was a free agent in the bar world, and their owner, who's Parker Gainham, he essentially bought this space and the liquor license that came with it, and wasn't entirely sure of what he wanted to do with it. They were in between like a very buttoned up speakeasy. They were talking about dive bars as well. And so they reached out to Libby, and then she reached out to me and was like, hey, let's go check out this space and like just see what we think of it and see what we would like to do if there's an opportunity for us to do something. So we walked through the space, which was a shell of itself, and it was the old sidebar. So definitely had a little bit more of that neighborhood dive feel to it.
Was it just upstairs, or was it the whole building?
It was just upstairs. It was just up here. So we walked through it, and what we kind of immediately came to was a New York style lounge, where it's comfortable. It's great music. You can be dressed up, or you can just be leaving a game and just want a good drink. But we just really wanted that comfortable feel with a very sexy vibe. And that's essentially where it started being built. And then we all kind of came together on the furniture. We came together on like the copper bar top, how we wanted all of the exposed brick to be out as well. And then we wanted definitely a darker vibe.
Yeah, dark, sexy. I mean, the historic building, we wanted that to speak for itself. So we left the floors, kind of as they are, just touches of that, the deep leather couches and the velvet, kind of give it that loungy vibe, comfort. I mean, that was really the focus, especially coming out of the pandemic or opening in the middle of the pandemic. The bars with the bells and whistles are great and all, but it's not necessarily an everyday thing. And we really wanted to become an everyday bar. So that was our goal with Highball.
How many of your clientele, like the ratio of regulars to others?
Ooh.
I would say so.
Yeah.
Weekdays, it's predominantly regulars, which is really nice because you get familiar faces. You get to, it's fun because you're at work, but you're also hanging out with your friends for a decent portion of the night
and
when it's regulars. And meeting new ones.
Meeting new friends.
And then weekends, it's predominantly newer crowd. They've been here before, but this is kind of their weekend go out. Mm-hmm. So it's after Friday, you get the people who are relaxing after a full work week and just want to have a couple good cocktails before or after dinner. So a lot of them are familiar faces, but not as much, I would say, regulars. Yeah, they've been coming here since we've been open, but they're not the ones that sit at the bar and ask how your dog's doing, what's up with going on with your house kind of thing, which some of our regulars, they are at the comfortable level where they leave and they're walk behind the bar and give you a hug, and it's all right, well,
we love that though.
This is where we're at now.
And that's what you wanted,
Yeah.
Exactly. You said you wanted that kind of neighborhood, cozy, warm vibe.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you guys have favorite spirits you like to work with?
Oh, gosh.
You were talking about this yesterday.
Yeah, we were. I really love funky rums. I love agricole rums.
Yeah, me too. It's that funky.
Yeah, that grassiness.
Yes, yeah.
Probably one of my favorite spirits to work with is rum JM 100. It's a little higher proof, but my typical palate, I love funky, I love tannic,
and when
I
she
love
says
dry.
funky, it's really distinctive.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of, what would you say, musty, funky, sweet?
Yeah.
Well, like, all right, so I love sour beers,
Okay.
right? Like a spontaneous fermentation, and
Yeah.
they use funky for that too.
Yep.
It's like a grassy kind of fermented kind of, not sour, maybe
Yeah.
a little bit, right? Is
Yeah.
that what we're, okay.
Yeah, so I mean, it's kind of the same note because most people talk about rum and they think like sweet and they think spiced rums and they think just really, really dark in color. Where her favorite, the JM100, is a Blanc, so it's a clear rum, and it's virgin sugarcane juice, and then it's gonna have that nice terroir where it's gonna be extremely grassy. You're gonna get a little bit more of that like tannin note on the finish to it too.
Yeah.
Now, so Mitch, what do you like to work with?
Honestly, I try to stay pretty versatile because a lot of kind of my technique as far as the menus go, because we love to give our staff the opportunity to also create cocktails and put things on the menu. So I really try to either fill the gaps that haven't been filled already, but also have something for everybody. So like she was kind of saying, as far as like me being a spirits guru, I'm able to kind of be versatile and pair cocktails with everything. I would say I have a least favorite and I don't have a favorite. Okay. And the least favorite would probably be vodka. Really? Yep. Just because it's such a neutral flavor that it's hard to like grab something from that and make it stand out. When we're doing cocktails, like what we do with our menu is we really want to highlight the spirit and have the spirit kind of sing throughout the cocktail and not, instead of just hide it, which a lot of places do because they're like, hey, we can just stack ingredients on top of it, hide the spirit, and make this taste amazing, but you don't really get the spirit, you just get the effect of it. Where we really like to pronounce the spirit and make sure that that's what's shining through.
So speaking of that, what can guests expect when they walk in the door? How is your cocktail menu displayed?
Go ahead.
Oh, how is our cocktail menu displayed? Well, so over the years, we've learned a lot about how our clientele reads menus. We prefer to not list brand names on our menus because what we've found in the past is where, say, I don't know, Hendrick's gin is your favorite spirit and you see that as the first listed ingredient and then you're like, oh, well, I like gin. And then, you forget everything else that's behind it. The cocktail comes out, you don't like it. We like to just focus on the flavors in which they hit your palate. So starting with the base spirit and then kind of like, if you look at a cocktail as far as how you're tasting it and how it hits your palate, there's different areas of your palate. Your first sip is to, coat your palate, and then your second sip is where you really start to taste the different layers. Like Mitch said, we really like to stack flavors and build off of that base ingredient. So the way that we have our menu laid out, we've got the name of our cocktail, the spirits, and then the order of operations in which you taste those ingredients. And then we also found that we, have a couple of different descriptors below that help the guests picture what the drink tastes like, the way that it's served. So there's really no surprises. But as far as like top to bottom of the menu, we like to keep it light and playful. The names are fun. The categories are fun. The menu that we're on right now, which is our second menu, starting with the top category, Shook Up. On the shaken, lighter, refreshing side, Permanent Vacation is more of that like tropical vibe, more assertive. If you like old fashions, Manhattans, those stirred, spirituous, powerful cocktails, that is definitely your niche. And then Global Affairs, which I think is probably, it's my favorite category.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I love that category, but more of that like worldly, exotic influence. But yeah, we just easy, approachable manner to read. 21 cocktails on this menu. I think there were 25 on our first menu. Yep. Kind of feel like that's like a sweet spot. There's enough that keeps you coming back. you can't necessarily go through the menu in one night unless you're with a larger group or you're us. Oops.
I'm down for the challenge.
Yeah, perfect. All right, let's sign you up.
Do you always have a share cocktail on the menu too? I notice you have a share bowl.
We do this time.
We did not on the first menu, but it is a very fun way because this is a nice place to bring a group, because you can obviously get comfortable in the couches in the lounge. And I mean, we have probably 8 and 9 tops coming in all weekend long. So it's nice to be able to have it. So that way, when they do sit down, you obviously give the introduction of what Highball is, take your time looking over the cocktails, but we use it as like an appetizer on the bottom. So it's definitely a cocktail that would be more for everybody, especially in Arizona right now with agave being the spirit of the summertime.
Yeah.
But it's just something to start with so you can share while you look over the menu and pick out one for you. It is definitely a delicious bowl.
How is it like a bowl? Like I just picture like everybody gets spoons.
Yes, so
Right
those
behind
guys.
you.
Oh wow! Okay,
Yep,
dude,
it
that's
comes
old
over-
school.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I sourced some vintage crystal punch bowls from the internet, eBay. So from all over the country, buying from little grandmas and whatnot. But and then these cups actually came with it. So we use these for our shots now and for the large punch bowl too. But yeah, it's just kind of like, it's beautiful. We serve it over a large 5x5 cube of artisan ice from Curtis Williams. We utilize his ice in all of our programs and where we consult, because it's just like, why would you have subpar ice in a great cocktail? It just doesn't make sense. So, but yeah, the bowl itself, tequila, Amaro, passion fruit, clementine tea, citrus, half a bottle of cava bubbles, and then it's got dehydrated citrus and orchids and cinnamon sticks, and it's really like
I
really
predict
beautiful.
we will be returning.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah.
You think you could talk your wife into a double date here with a punch bowl?
Nice. Yeah.
There we go.
You're hitting all the notes with her on that, for sure.
And as if you didn't have enough to do, you also run a consulting business called Two Hands, right?
We do. Yeah. Something that came to fruition about 2 years ago. Again, like we just, are very well connected throughout the culinary world. And so people were opening restaurants and wanting beverage programs, cocktail programs that match the quality of food. And so we were starting to get inquiries about it. And we're like, well, let's do this. Like, why not? And, it takes a lot to kind of put yourself out there, but, it's been a really great experience thus far, tailoring cocktails to different areas of clientele and just like we do with the pop-up dinners, like creating cocktails that complement the cuisine of the restaurant. I feel that that's kind of something that a lot of restaurants miss, where there's kind of a lesser cohesiveness between the cocktails and the drinks. The drinks might be outstanding and beautiful, but I want my drink to complement the food that I'm eating. The whether you're having French cuisine or Italian cuisine, or one of our latest projects is with Dom Ruggiero from Hush Public House.
I have had your cocktails there.
Yes.
They're delicious.
Amazing. So we're excited to be teaming up with him. His staff is absolutely phenomenal. He's got one of the cleanest kitchens that we have ever seen.
Oh, yeah.
His military background comes through. He is incredible. We're really excited about his newest project, and the fact that he wanted us to work with him again is an honor. So we're growing that business rapidly.
Yes. Yeah. And I mean, to kind of go on top of what Libby was saying, with each one, I feel like we're just getting more and more comfortable with it as well, and kind of producing at a higher level each time, which is great to see, because neither one of us get complacent with it, and we really want to just advance the Phoenix cocktail scene as well as the restaurant scene as much as possible. So I mean, currently we're figuring out how many projects we can take on at one time. I would say.
I guess that's kind of a good problem to have,
Yeah.
right?
It is.
It is a good problem to have.
Time management. We're working on it.
Yep. And then obviously making all of the drinks at places very unique, and not you're not going to go to one and be like, oh, I've had a drink similar to this, and oh, it's another place that Mitch and Libby wrote the cocktails at. we want to keep all drinks unique to the spaces that they're in and make sure that they fit not only the vibe, but like Libby was saying, the menu, and then make sure it works for the clientele. So, which is one of the harder parts based on if your restaurant's in North Scottsdale, if it's in downtown Phoenix, there's different things to highlight.
Right.
Now, what about the non-alcoholic cocktails? I'm noticing that more places are doing that, and I think that's great. How do you go about creating something?
It's like he was hanging out with us yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were actually just talking about this yesterday because the non-alcoholic distillates are exploding right now. And, before, I think the perception of a non-alcoholic drink was just like, oh, it's just an array of citrus and syrups and it's on the sweeter side. We're really starting to look at it from a different perspective where, a guest can come in and have something that is equally as delicious as the cocktails on the menu, and it's not overlooked. I think it's totally fine to want to be out and have a non-alcoholic drink. Every once in a while you got to hit the brakes. So it's
even if it's mixing them in, have one and one. So.
Yeah, and I think that we want our non-alcoholic cocktails to have the same integrity of our alcoholic cocktails. But we're starting to dabble in the non-alcoholic distillates. They're a little more expensive, but that's okay. Like there shouldn't be any sub-quality non-alcoholic drink out there. Sure. So we don't necessarily on our menu now, we don't have like scripted NA cocktails. It's more of a conversation because we have all of the fresh ingredients here to work with. There's cocktails that'll fit at certain places and deserve placements on the menu. But for us right here, because we are very limited space print-wise on the menu, it's just more of a conversation piece. But we make them all the time, and we're more than happy to do so.
That's pretty cool. I like that. So, all right, I'm going to put you on the spot. So I come in, I'm like, I love old fashions, but I can't drink alcohol right now. What do you make me?
Oof.
Was that a tough one?
That's a tough one.
It is a tough one. Because,
Spirit forward.
Yeah, it is a tough one because obviously an old fashioned is going to be all based around the spirit itself. Yeah. So with something like an old fashioned, you're really going to want to use one of the non-alcoholic distillates, which they have like non-alcoholic bourbons. And then you're still going to want to be able to use like a little bit of brown sugar to it. I mean, depending on the person, you can add some type of a little cherry to it as well. But the bitters are always an important part of an old fashioned, which one of our favorite things to use in non-alcoholics and alcoholics is teas. So essentially that's what bitters are teas, because they're going to be dried fruits, herbs, steeped in alcohol to extract all that flavor. So we always have an array of teas behind the bar that don't have alcohol in them that we can use in non-alcoholics as well. So it's kind of fitting whatever vibe you're in. So typically if you said that to me, I would ask you what bourbon you would want, and then I would break that bourbon flavor down in my head and be like, okay, cool. If he's saying Buffalo Trace, he's going to want something with a little bit of cinnamon, clove, orange to it. So it really kind of depends on what bourbon you're picking out for your old fashions, but we'd be able to make something work.
So good question and super interesting answer.
Yeah.
All right, number 2, I want a shot of whiskey. What are you going to give me? No alcohol. Just kidding.
Oh, gosh.
It's like I want to do the shot, but I don't want to get drunk. Like, what are you doing a shot then? I'm just talking this through in my own head.
Yeah.
That's why we gave you Amaro.
Yeah. So there's no alcohol in this at all?
No, there's alcohol.
There is alcohol.
Okay,
yeah.
But there's not nearly as much as what like whiskey would do.
Sure.
So this is something like people come in and they're always like, oh, I want to buy all the bartenders. I want to buy everybody a shot or something like that. And you're like, no, like you're not going to rip a shot of whiskey behind the bar or anything like that.
No.
Yeah. It's like lower proof type of things are something that, like she was saying, is a bartender's handshake where you can cheers with somebody. They can have they can shoot it. You can have a sip of it and like just keep it for yourself for your after shift kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because especially a bar with so many friends coming in, they like to make it known that they're here after hours, not after work closed, not after hours, but after we're closed, and they're just like, hey, like cheers your shift beer with me kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, go ahead.
And I think you have snacks too, right? People
We
can
do.
come here and
Yes.
graze on bar snacks,
Yes,
so it's not.
We do have bar snacks, and seeing again that we don't have a kitchen here, we get everything prepared for us off-site. So our friends at Sink or Swim actually prepare our food right now, and we are constantly changing our food menu as well. That way, it's just staying fresh. Because it is such a limited option. It's actually not on that
Yeah, we
on
have
that
a separate
menu.
printout.
But your section's on the back there, the best friends. That's your beer and
The
shot.
beer, I see that. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yes,
Yep.
yes.
It's the only way we know how to drink beer is beer and
Just
shot.
with the shot.
With the shot,
With the
okay.
sidecar. Yeah, a little sidecar.
I'm
to
in.
it.
But yeah, not to skip over it, but yeah, Sink or Swim does our food. Currently, we have a kimchi popcorn that actually is Sasha Levine's recipe because she did our food, the first menu. And then we also have a ceviche as well, and a
Poached shrimp, ceviche verde with chips, and
Yep.
smaller kind of like middle of the road snack.
and then a Cubano sandwich for people who want to come in and actually have some substantial food that comes on a pretzel bun as well, which
Yeah.
has a nice following for sure.
Yeah, it does. So
Excellent. Well,
Do you guys have anything planned for the future? Any projects you're working on?
yes. Other than obviously, like I mentioned, working with Dom. A couple of our clients include Ren and Wolf, and they're on the up and up and doing some big things within the city. We've had a couple of corporate jobs, Hilton Garden Inn downtown. What else? We're opening a luxury market called Gastromy Market up by Gainey Ranch. Kind of a lunchtime crossing over into dinner time, but with boutique little niche areas to go and shop and find your wine, your cheese, your sliced meats, that sort of thing. And they wanted the cocktails to match that high-end shopping experience. So we're working on that as well. What else? I don't think the other one we can announce just yet, but
Probably not.
sure you
yeah,
can.
yeah, we got one. Well, you'll read about
When
it.
does
here
this
soon.
come out?
Right. Yeah. You'll read about the fourth one here soon.
Nice.
Yeah.
So any dinners planned, like the pop-up dinners with cocktails, that really intrigued me. I like that.
Yeah, we don't have any planned right now. The last one that we did was in June. July, we took off. August, we're already halfway through. So we're probably going to gear up again for like September, October, November. We
always like to do like 1 or 2 events a month.
Yeah.
So like June we did the dinner. July we had a couple of events here because one of our bartenders was leaving, so we kind of did like a big going away for him. And then yesterday we had an event for Rum Bar. So we did was it yesterday? 2 days ago.
2 days ago.
Yeah, was a
It
Rum
all
Bar
blends
event.
together.
And then so we don't like to stack too many events because we don't want to overwhelm people with like, hey, you have to come in. We always like to make sure they're populated really well and that we give everybody the credit that they deserve. So we want to
Yeah.
make sure we put as much effort into it as possible and not do the, hey, we have an event today and then in 2 days we have another one where
Yeah.
you're just going to see half the crowd half
Sure.
the days.
Yeah.
We'd rather see the full crowd one time
Yeah.
a month and just put all the effort into it.
So yeah, we do them periodically. We market for about 2 weeks, and they always sell out. So, I think the sporadic events creates a demand, and it's worked out for us. Plus, from the operations side of things, it's exhausting too. It takes a lot of time to make these events happen, and Mitch and I also bartend here too. So on top of operating and having a quality personal life outside of work, which is still kind of far and few between. It does take a lot, but when we do it well. There's no cut corners by any means. We're not just trying to like do an event because we should. We do it because we want to, and we want everybody to have the experience that they should.
And it's crazy. The talented chefs in this town are always busy too. So
Yeah, that also
it's
too.
always hard. It's always hard getting the timing down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we've talked with Renee from Bacanora for a year about doing one, and the timing we just haven't figured out a date yet. So
It will eventually.
that one
We'll get
will
them.
happen for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, in like
Yeah,
0.2 seconds.
I mean, they all sell out in about 48 hours to 72 hours.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
But yeah, there's certain people where it'll sell out very, very rapidly.
Yeah.
All right. Well, guys, anything else you want to share? Like anything else we missed?
I don't think so.
How do people find you? Like, how do people find the Highball and Two Hands?
Two Hands. So Two Hands Consulting. I mean, our Instagram handle for Highball is at HighballPHX. Our Two Hands Consulting page is in development, but it's at Two Hands PHX also. Okay. As far as what's up and coming, gearing up for fall and our menu change. Like I said before, we scrapped the menu from top to bottom. So if there's any cocktails that you like on this menu now, get them while you can. Yeah. If you haven't been in, please come in and try us out. There's something for everyone here. That's our entire, vibe of this space. We just like having a good time and serving good drinks.
I'm sold. I'm sold. Yeah. So I was already sold anyways because Christina's a big fan, but now I met you guys and I like you as well. So
thank you.
Yes. So awesome. Well, thank you guys for joining.
Thank you. We're really happy to have you guys here and look forward to serving you a drink.
Christina, thanks for joining.
Thank you.